Is your HOA always this fair gate creak paper slam as Marlene's Mercedes skids to my gravel driveway under the porch glare tonight? She mocked my sign, threatened fines, and rolled over my wildflowers, then barked community standards like a verdict. I lifted a county-stamped map and 0317 gate cam clip. The notary seal thumped like a stamp porch light flicked on, and even the room went still steady as record evidence. Anyway, next comes the hearing projector on badges watching, and the forged amendment finally meets an official seal under county lights. At 9:47 a.m., Marlene Grayson's silver Mercedes rolled up the gravel like it owned every inch of air between us. Community standards, she shouted, apply to everyone on this road. I set the wrench down. Wind pressed the field flat, carrying the smell of clay and cut weeds. The red light of Camera 01 blinked steady in the corner of the gate monitor, REC. Beside it, two survey stakes from 1973 leaned like old soldiers. "Can I help you, Mrs. Grayson?" I asked. "You can take down the gate, the sign, and that ridiculous flag." Her sunglasses caught the morning sun. "Meadowbrook has rules." "I know your rules," I said. "They stop there." I pointed at the gravel line. She took one step closer, heels ticking sharp. "I've been president 15 years. I know our boundary. Then you'll like this." I unfolded the laminated map, the one stamped, filed 0415. County Assessor. Right here your line ends 50 feet east. My ranch begins. She didn't look at the seal. Maps fade, covenants last. Covenants don't cross county land. Her lips tightened. "You'll regret being difficult." I almost smiled. "Boundaries aren't walls," I said. "They're respect." She froze, jaw working. "We'll see whose respect matters." She turned, climbed into the Mercedes, and eased forward. The right tire rolled over my patch of purple wildflowers, crushed them flat. I raised my phone, took 3 photos. Tire plate timestamp. Dust trailed her car until it met the Meadowbrook sign and vanished into the manicured part of the world. For a moment, only wind and the faint hum of the post office radio existed. Then a swallow cut the air above the fence line. I folded the map, slipped it in my pocket, and felt the paper edge against my leg, proof that didn't care who believed it. I checked the gate hinges again. The new torque chart gleamed faintly on the steel. Smooth swing, no creak. My heart slowed. Calm wasn't surrender. Calm was strategy. The phone buzzed Mom. "You sound tense," she said. "Had a visitor." "Friendly." She brought rules. "Donovan." She sighed. "Don't fight them." "I'm not fighting. I'm documenting." Same thing to people who fear paper. Maybe I said, but paper outlives noise. I ended the call watching the boundary pins catch the sun. They looked small, but they were older than every bylaw in Meadowbrook. Inside the cabin, coffee steamed beside my laptop. I opened a new folder, Meadowbrook Boundary. Subfolders bloomed video photos. Email, receipts. I dropped the tire track photos in. The cloud backup spun until the circle turned green. Mini Cliff 1. The ground remembers who owns it. I typed 0422 9:47 a.m. Initial confrontation at property line. Evidence. Camera 01 video. 3 photos map filed 04-15. Witness none. Outside a pickup passed on the county road. The driver raised 2 fingers. I lifted back. That simple nod felt more official than any HOA stamp. The wind brought the smell of fresh paint and spring grass. The sign beside the gate read, "Private, no, HOA." I leveled it, tightened each screw, and stepped back. A voice came from the ditch. "Looks heavy for one man." A neighbor, gray-haired, walking his dog. "It's lighter than arguing," I said. He chuckled. "Welcome to the county, Mini Cliff 2. Not everyone here liked Meadowbrook's shadow." I walked the line once more. Stakes. Tape. The iron boundary pin glinted dull and sure. I brushed dirt away, felt its cold top flush with soil. It hadn't moved in 50 years. Neither would I. The radio at the post office drifted through static country music local ads, then silence. I went back inside. The kettle clicked. Steam rose slow, like thinking. On the table lay the map, the kind with creases that keep history folded inside. I traced the ink ridge again. Lot 17B, Pierce property. When you spend years behind spreadsheets, you learn that order isn't peace. It's just paperwork with manners. I bought this ranch to trade boardrooms for sky, but control follows noise and noise finds mailboxes. A chime popped on my phone. New email. Subject line in bold, violation notice, immediate compliance required. I didn't open it yet. The title alone said enough. I sipped coffee, counted to 5, then tapped the screen. The message listed 7 violations: unapproved gate, non-standard signage, unauthorized fencing, and something called aesthetic inconsistency. No county seal, no signature with credentials, just a name, Marlene Grayson, typed neat as threat. I scrolled to the bottom. Deadline 5 days. Fine $100 per item. I took a screenshot, saved it to the folder. Labeled Emails 0422 Violation. Another breeze pushed the curtains. Outside the gate reflected morning light like a mirror too honest. I whispered, "Let's start a record." Camera 01 blinked once more. Mini Cliff 3. Proof had just clocked in for work. At 6:32 a.m., my inbox stacked like shingles. Subjects marched: violation, non-compliant, final reminder. Coffee was cold. The diner muffin box sat open, 2 crumbs and a napkin. I began the ritual screenshot, save duplicate to drive upload to cloud. The cursor spun like a small oath. A reflection on the monitor glass caught my eye, a tight coil like a sleeping snake. Barbed wire ghosted from a tab I'd left open. Foreshadow or paranoia, I couldn't tell. Mom called. Speaker on. "Morning," she said. "You sound awake." "I sound organized," I said. "Is that different?" "Organization doesn't shake," I said. "Anger does." I scrolled a notice citing Section 4.2, then 7.1, then a new invention: aesthetic disruption. No county seal, no recorder's stamp, no agency signature. "Anything official?" Mom asked. "Nothing with teeth," I said. "Just bark." Camera 02 chimed. Motion. I tapped the feed. Gate view empty. Another ping, cabin-side porch. A man in a polo hat stepped from a dark SUV. Passenger door open, dome light dim. He lifted a dull silver spool. Arms braced like he'd done it before, then looped barbed wire around my porch rails. Once. Twice. Tighten. Zip, tie, cinch. He kept his face down brim, shading him like intent. I thumbed the record flag through the system already saved. "Mom, I need a minute," I said. "What is it?" "Maintenance," I said, and muted. I zoomed the plate as he climbed back into the SUV. Clear frame, clear digits. Another angle showed the wires bite on cedar. I grabbed stills, exported metadata. The system stamped the overlay, received 1944. I labeled the folder Barbed Wire Swat 03U17 and felt how certainty arrives wearing plain numbers. I called the non-emergency line. "Trespass, possible criminal mischief," I said. "Evidence is 4K multi-angle." How soon, the dispatcher asked. "Not urgent," I said. "Just accurate." Back to the inbox. Another email from the board with a PDF Boundary Amendment 2019. It looked important until you looked for bones. I zoomed. No county seal, no recorder index, no clerk initials, just self-addressed authority and a tidy serif. Local number rang. Recorder on. "This is Donovan." "Mr. Pierce," she said. "Marlene Grayson. One more opportunity to cooperate." I stared at the wire still frozen on the second monitor. What would cooperation look like? Remove the gate and signage. Submit to inspection. Acknowledge dues. "My property," I said, "is outside your covenants. You are isolating yourself against 200 families," she said. 200 property values. Property value isn't a badge, I said. It's a market. You think your map outvotes a community authority without a seal is air, I said. She exhaled. You enjoy sounding clever. It won't save you. I'm not trying to be clever, I said. I'm trying to be exact. Last warning, she said, and hung up. I saved the audio to calls 2023-04-25. Marlene. Backed it up and wrote the log 8:32 p.m. Phone threat. Claims 200 families. Demands inspection. One-party consent recording attached. Minnie Cliff. If she had an army, it marched on letterhead. I printed the HOA PDF and held it to the light. Nothing rose from the paper. No embossed ring, no pressure bruise from a real seal. I placed it beside the county map and photographed the contrast one page that meant something. One page that wanted to. The camera pinged again. A stroller rolled past on the public road. A neighbor waved the way people do when they're not sure which side of the fence the story will favor. I waved back anyway. The office looked exactly like what it was organized stubbornness. Outgoing envelopes on the blotter, labeled tabs, a legal pad with a to-do list written like a chess opening, sheriff, assessor, recorder, counsel. I opened the spreadsheet and added 04-25-07-44, video unknown male polo hat spool, wraps barbed wire on cabin rails, plate captured. Received, 1944, overlay, 04-25-08-32, phone call, HOA president threatens escalation, recording saved. Mom texted, "You okay?" Yes, I wrote. The system works better than shouting. A mower started inside Meadowbrook lines combed into grass like a cul-de-sac haircut. I let the sound be just sound. Another message landed not from the board, but a community group. A screenshot from a friend Meadowbrook Community Watch. The post framed me as aggressive and industrial. 30 comments stacked half-eager, half-tired. Comment trigger achieved. Motive displayed. I flagged the post, saved the thread, and scrolled again. Words gain weight when you stack them high enough. Minnie Cliff. She wasn't just building a case, she was building an audience. A soft chirp from the phone. Gate cam. Motion. I tapped. 3 figures stood at the bars, center-framed like a poster. The middle one lifted her chin. The intercom light went green. Wind pressed the oaks. The wire on my porch hummed like a bad idea. I set the map beside the keyboard seal, catching light. My thumb hovered over the talk button. State your business. I rehearsed, not pressing yet. The boundary pin flashed in memory. The rails wore metal like a warning. I hit record on intercom log 02. The diner smelled like smoke and old coffee, the kind that never really leaves the air. At the counter, Attorney Drummond rolled a plat overlay across the laminate table. "Let's prove she crossed the line," he said. The overlay snapped flat. Beneath it, my survey from 1973 matched his digital grid within millimeters. The hinge on the diner door squeaked a warning in sound. Not meaning. "County records confirm your boundary," Drummond said, tapping the margin. Section 12, Lot 17, recorded April 15th. That's jurisdictional bedrock. "I know it," I said. "She won't. She doesn't have to believe he said. We make her acknowledge." Steam rose from the BBQ pit outside, curling past the windows. The waitress refilled cups, her name tag, Linda, catching light. She glanced at the map, curious but polite. "Mind if I ask what that is?" she said. "Property line," I said. "Someone's trying to move it with emails." Linda nodded. "They always pick the quiet ones first." Drummond smiled. "Good witness," he said softly, jotting her name at the bottom of the form. He slid a new folder across the table. Formal notice, 2-07. The county watermark shimmered faintly under grease-stained light. "We'll file today. Keep a copy visible." Photographic evidence attached, I handed him a flash drive. Barbed wire 03-17 set. Metadata intact. He inserted it into his laptop. Perfect chain of custody. He scrolled, eyes narrowing. Pattern of fraud. Same language across 3 previous cases, amended covenants filed without authorization. So it's not just me. It never is, he said. It's about precedent. A busser passed collecting plates. I took a bite of brisket that tasted like work done right. Drummond folded the overlay into its envelope and sealed it. You understand. He said this is about quiet precision. No shouting, no grandstands. Facts don't flinch. Minnie Cliff Facts. If tended, outlive tempers. We signed the notice together. He stamped his initials beside mine. Filed, Usharchan 1207. Received, 1312. The ink bled slightly official as heartbeat. My phone buzzed. Gate alarm. Live feed. Camera 01 showed the same SUV from the wire incident stopped short of the post. Driver out. Second person filming. Third holding a clipboard. Trespass in real time. Drummond leaned over. Keep recording. Don't engage. They're measuring the fence, I said. Good, he said. They just built our affidavit. I hit screen record. Linda wiped the counter, pretending not to notice but watching anyway. You boys always work this hard over dirt, she asked. It's not the dirt, I said. It's the line. The door hinge squeaked again as a man in tan uniform stepped in. Badge polished dust on boots. Deputy Briggs. Mr. Pierce, he asked. Drummond turned slightly calm as gravity. We were just finishing the paperwork. Minnie Cliff. The law had arrived before lunch cooled. Deputy Hollis stood at the gate cruiser lights painting red over gravel. His body cam clock read 0317. The same timestamp blinking on my footage. Mr. Pierce, he said, palm up for calm. That's me. I held out the certified letter with the county seal still warm from the notary's stamp. He adjusted the brim of his hat. We got a call about a disturbance. Not a disturbance, I said. A replay. Behind him, Marlene's Mercedes idled exhaust whispering overdue. Mom watched from the cabin window, one hand over her mouth, robe sleeve trembling. Hollis stepped closer. You have something to show me. I unlocked my phone, opened the TAM02 clip. Two silhouettes, one with the same brimmed hat from before looping barbed wire around my porch rails. Hollis leaned in. His own body cam caught the reflection of the screen. The twin 0317 clocks lined up like coordinates on truth. He exhaled. That's clear enough. Marlene walked forward. Deputy, that's taken out of context. He turned to her. Ma'am, trespass isn't about context. She folded her arms. Our board, your board, he said, has no standing past this marker. He pointed at the boundary pin still half buried in the gravel. Mom cracked the window. Would you like coffee, officer? He smiled briefly. Thank you, ma'am, but I'll keep it official. He tapped his radio. Dispatch file, incident number 0317, possible vandalism and harassment, Meadowbrook, HOA, subject property, verified county jurisdiction. Static answered, then a female voice confirmed. I handed him the folder Drummond had prepared, formal notice, VR2207, stamped and sealed. Everything's in sequence, I said. He flipped through, nodding. Chain of evidence photos, timestamps. You've done half my job. I just wanted to stop. He studied the barbed wire still coiled at the porch rail. You keep recording. We'll handle the rest. Marlene's tone thinned. You're making a spectacle, Mr. Pierce. I met her gaze. Calm is a strategy. Minnie Cliff. She mistook silence for surrender. Hollis faced her square. Ma'am, step back to your vehicle. I'll document this site. Her jaw twitched. This isn't over. It's over for tonight, he said. The cruiser headlights swept across the county line as she left. Dust drifted into the beam, then away like something lifted off my chest. I exhaled. The hum of the porch light filled the gap her engine left behind. Mom opened the door slowly. You okay? Better than okay. I held up the letter. County certified filed yesterday. We're outside their reach. She smiled, tired but proud. Your father would have liked that sentence. The deputy returned from his inspection, clipboard in hand. I'll submit the full report by morning. You'll get a copy with incident number. Appreciate it. He nodded once. For what it's worth, Mr. Pierce. The footage speaks louder than any argument. He climbed into the cruiser. Radio static flickered and faded down the road. I stood by the gate watching dawn edge over the field. The certified envelope gleamed under the porch light proof with weight. The seal caught the glow deep and real. A hum built from the mailbox at the road, a soft mechanical sound delivery slot opening. I walked down. Inside sat a fresh county envelope heavier than junk mail. I tore it open carefully. The letter read, Subject, Jurisdiction Confirmation Lot 17B. County Zone 3. The property referenced lies beyond the jurisdictional limits of the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association. I let the words sit in my hands. Paper had never felt so alive. Behind me, the porch light flickered once camera rebooting for its daily log. Minnie Cliff. The gate had stopped being a symbol. It was evidence. A motion blink came from the mailbox screen green card receipt uploaded to the server signature visible timestamp perfect. Certified. Filed 3/17, both clocks in sync. The projector hummed with that deep, steady sound every man over 50 recognizes the tone of something about to reveal a truth. Rows of folding chairs filled the community hall, air thick with BBQ smoke wafting through open doors. People fanned themselves with meeting packets, their eyes fixed on the front wall where white letters glowed barbed wire timeline. Deputy Briggs stood in the back, arms crossed, hat tucked under one arm. He didn't need to speak. His badge did that for him. At the table, Marlene Grayson gripped her binder too tight. The edges bent under her fingers. I saw the missing marks even from across the room. No seals, no stamps, no signatures. Just plain paper dressed up like law. The moderator cleared his throat. Next item on the agenda, Lot 17B. I rose, adjusting the microphone until it stopped squealing. My name's Donovan Pierce. I own Lot 17B, and I've been told many times that rules apply to everyone. Tonight, let's see if that's true. Marlene leaned into her mic. You're not on the board. You don't have standing. Briggs's voice cut through the murmurs. Let him speak. I clicked the remote. The projector flipped to the first slide. CAM-02 footage. 0317. The room went still. Barbed wire shimmered under porch light. Two silhouettes wrapped it tight. Timestamp clear. This was recorded the night of April 25th, I said. Same night I filed my notice. You'll recognize the vehicle. A whisper moved like static through the chairs. Someone near the aisle muttered, That's her SUV. Marlene's straightened voice clipped. That's an edited clip. Briggs stepped forward. No, ma'am. The sheriff's office verified this footage. Hash matched, no edits detected. Marlene's mouth thinned. You can't just ambush me. It's not an ambush, I said. It's transparency. I clicked again. The next slide filled the wall. County seal received 1900. The red ink shone under the fluorescent light. This letter came yesterday from county zoning. It confirms Lot 17B lies outside HOA jurisdiction. No board authority, no dues, no enforcement rights. A few in the crowd gasped. One older man whispered, Knew it. Another woman crossed her arms, shaking her head at Marlene. She fumbled her binder open. Pages fluttered. We have amended Covenants 2019 ratified by 2/3 vote. Then where's your seal? I asked. Her lips parted, searching for a phrase that wouldn't sound hollow. Nothing came. Paper outlives noise, I said quietly. Minnie Cliff. Truth doesn't need to shout when it's notarized. The moderator swallowed hard. All right. Is there a motion regarding the board standing on this matter? A man in work boots stood up. Motion for a vote of no confidence. Second, someone added before the echo faded. Hands rose across the room, slow but sure. Briggs walked the aisle, logging the tally on his tablet. The motion passes, the moderator said, voice trembling. Effective immediately, the board is suspended pending audit. Marlene's jaw dropped. You don't have the authority. The community just exercised it, Briggs said. She glared at me. You'll regret humiliating people. I met her eyes. People humiliate themselves when they forget the limits of paper. The audience murmured half pity, half satisfaction. Briggs looked toward the door as a county clerk stepped inside his blue jacket, catching the light. He carried a sealed envelope stamped official red. "County notice," he said. "Tax reassessment confirms Lot 17B is a standalone parcel. HOA filings marked for review." He laid the envelope beside the projector. The hum deepened as though the building itself had exhaled. Someone clapped once, then twice. Then the room joined a low, rolling applause that didn't celebrate me but what was fair. Briggs leaned over. "You handled it the right way, Pierce. Law's quieter than gossip," I said. "But it lasts longer." He smiled. "That's the truth." Marlene's binder hit the table with a flat thud. She gathered her purse face tight and walked out. No one stopped her. The moderator wiped his brow. "Next agenda, item board audit and interim chair nomination." I stepped back from the mic. The air felt lighter. BBQ smoke drifted in again, brisket, pepper, ash. Ordinary life pushing back into the room. Outside, rain tapped the roof of the porch canopy. Neighbors lingered, some patting my shoulder as they passed. "Good on you," one said. "Took guts." "It took paperwork," I said. He laughed. "Same thing these days." Briggs lingered near the exit. "Keep that file handy," he said. "You might get calls from other HOAs asking how you pulled it off." I smiled. "Maybe I'll start charging by the stamp." The clerk approached, extending a copy of the resolution. Across the bottom typed neat "board removed pending audit." He handed it over. Flashbulbs popped as a local reporter snapped the shot. The projector light flickered one last time, casting our silhouettes against the wall. Her binder, my seal. His badge, all equal under that white glare. Mini Cliff Justice isn't loud. It's legible. Outside, the sky had turned copper gray. The crowd spilled into the parking lot, laughter soft and relieved. Someone slapped my back. "Finally, someone fought back," he said. I folded the seal into its case, feeling its weight settle into my palm like an earned calm. Calm is a strategy Drummond had said once. I finally understood. The fluorescent buzz in the recorder's office made every second feel measured. County technicians knelt at the hallway door, swapping the cylinder, their tool tray neat as a kit for truth. A clerk stepped from the counter and handed me a thick folder stamped in blue warranty deed. "Congratulations," she said. Her badge read Nora. The folder's tab carried the time, mark filed 10:42. "Is it really finished?" I asked. "It's recorded," Nora said. "Recording is how finished learns to walk." Deputy Briggs leaned against the wall hat tucked under his arm dust on his boots that never quite left. "Paper beats rumor," he said. "Every single day." The stamp thunked again at the counter, another document registered, another life squared with the ledger. I opened the folder. The first page bore my name, the parcel number, and the seal that felt like a handshake from the county itself. Behind it, a transfer order waited, clipped to a set of keys on a brass ring. Nora flipped a clipboard toward me. A spreadsheet scrolled down columns, clean one cell highlighted like a traffic light you can't ignore, 17B. "Refund pending." "What's that?" I asked. "Board audit refunds," she said. "Illegitimate fines going back 3 years. Column 17B is where the balance swings your way." The air tasted faintly of toner and old envelopes. Someone laughed at the far desk. Someone else pressed a stamp and let the thunk land like a verdict. Briggs nodded toward the keys. "You ready to turn a page you can hold?" he said. "I came to make it quiet," I said. He grinned. "Quiet has rules now. Mini Cliff." The keys were proof you can hear. The tax sale room was a repurposed meeting space across the hall, metal chairs, a projector on a portable cart, 2 flags, and a clock that ran 5 minutes fast. Bidders sat with folded paddles. The former HOA treasurer hovered in the back hands, tucked eyes on the carpet like it could answer for the past. The auctioneer read parcels like coordinates. When he reached Lot 17B, he lifted his chin. Opening bid, he asked. I raised my paddle. So did a man in a golf shirt. He hesitated when Briggs shifted his weight. The bids bumped once, then twice. I held steady, not loud, not fast, just certain. The gavel tapped. Sold. Nora typed at the recorder's terminal, the old keyboard clicking like rain on metal. She slid a fresh page across the counter. Sign here. Then here. She stamped it, received recorder's office, and aligned the page under an embossing seal. The press left a round bruise that meant the county would remember. She placed the warranty deed back in the folder on top now like a roof. The former treasurer approached, eyes unsteady. "For what it's worth," he said, voice barely above the hum. She didn't listen to us either. "I'm not your reckoning," I said. "No," he said, "but you forced ours." He stepped back. Briggs looked at me. "You did this without shouting." "Shouting doesn't file," I said. Nora passed the transfer order across the counter and dropped the keys into my palm. They clicked against the ring, small final. "Order is freedom you earned," she said. I nodded, surprised by the weight in the sentence. We took a moment by the window. Outside, a BBQ truck across the square sent up a noon ribbon of smoke. A mail carrier pushed a cart past the post office mural, the wheels chirping over a seam in the tile. Ordinary sound felt like permission. My phone buzzed. District Attorney, R.E., injunction. The preview line was short as a stamp, injunction accepted. I opened it, reading the single sentence twice, then a third time because good news never learned to knock. Briggs tipped his hat. "That'll keep the peace while your deed settles in. Peace is just a line everyone sees," I said. We crossed back to the counter where Nora had a small envelope ready, new lock cards, a receipt, and a spare ring stamped with the county crest. She pointed to the bottom of the page. "Sign for the keys. We'll update the parcel viewer in a few minutes." I signed the pen, biting slightly into the carbon sheet. The office door opened. A tech leaned in. "Lock change complete," he said. "We logged the serials with the order." "Thank you," I said. He lifted his kit. "We like it when paper and metal agree." Silent beat. The room settled around the thunk of a distant stamp. We walked down the hall past framed plats and black and white photos of bridges, dams, and water towers, all the quiet things that keep a place from forgetting itself. A bulletin board held notices, dog licenses, a lost ring, a church BBQ flyer, paper neighbors pinned and tidy. Nora waved us into a small side room with a public terminal. "Parcel viewers almost refreshed," she said. "Give it a second." The screen flickered. The map tiles loaded in squares, a digital quilt knitting itself together. I set the warranty deed on the desk beside the keyboard and the transfer order on top of it the way a lid meets a jar. Briggs stood behind me, hands on his belt, the steadiness of a man who's driven every road in the county more times than he can count. The former treasurer hovered in the doorway, not crossing the threshold. "What happens now?" he asked. "Accounting," Nora said, "and apologies." He nodded once as if taught a new alphabet. My phone buzzed again. "Drummond." "You win the lot?" he asked. "Filed and sealed," I said. "Then breathe," he said, "and keep everything in one place." "Always," I said. Finally, someone fought back, he added half to himself. "Paper fought," I said. "I just carried it." The map refreshed another layer. Lot lines formed pale gray. Blue shading marched across the screen from the east, pausing, reconsidering, then settling steady. Nora tapped a key, zooming in. The labels stacked neatly. Ranch, Pierce, and Lot 17B, Pierce. "Refresh again," she said. I did. The cursor spun once, then the two blues met each other like a decision that had finally caught up with itself. Mini Cliff Keys on brass deed under glass. Silence doing its job. The shading changed, no seam, no hyphen. Just one unbroken shape, deeper blue than the rest of the map. Nora smiled. Merged. Briggs breathed out almost a laugh. That's how a line becomes peace. The parcel viewer blinked one more time, the label simplified to a single name. The room, the hum, the stamps all seemed to agree at once. On the screen, the ranch and 17B were one blue body. The cursor hovered steady as a promise. The applause started small like rain beginning on tin, then rolled steady through the hall. The county board chair smiled, handed me a cream-colored folder, and said, "Mr. Pierce, this is your resolution certificate." The record now reflects Lot 17B as independent and compliant. The seal gleamed under the fluorescent lights raised clean official. Across the top in serif black adopted unanimously. Behind me, the sound of chairs scraping boots on tile people standing. It wasn't loud like victory. It was quiet like relief. Drummond stood near the back, tie loose coffee in hand. He nodded once, pride measured and private. Next to him, half-shadowed by the door, stood Marlene. Her hands trembled around a folded copy of the same agenda, lips pressed shut. Drummond caught my glance, then hers. "She came," he murmured. "Good," I said. "Every story needs its echo." Outside, the afternoon smelled of smoke and charcoal. The crowd had drifted to the parking lot where folding tables held more food than speeches ever could. The old tool bench from my shed had become a buffet, table ribs slaw, cornbread sweet tea in mason jars. Deputy Briggs stood by the grill, his badge catching sunlight. "You fed the whole county," he said. "Cheaper than another hearing," I said. He laughed. "That's reform I can support." Drummond joined us, sliding his coffee aside for a plate. "The board's refund schedule is posted," he said. Column 17B's cleared first. I saw the notice, I said. "I'll donate mine to the Volunteer Fire Fund." "Classy move," Briggs said. "Keeps peace from rusting." Across the lawn, the new county flag fluttered beside the old one, equal height. The mic from the meeting still sat on a folding chair, faint static humming like an afterthought. The board chair tapped it once. "One last entry for the record," she said. "Public apology from the prior administration and acknowledgement of the procedural audit findings." Her voice softened. "We thank Mr. Pierce for his patience and professionalism." Applause again, steady, careful. Marlene stepped forward slow as someone testing ice. "I'd like to read something," she said. Briggs folded his arms, but Drummond gave a small nod. She unfolded a page. To the residents of Meadowbrook and the county of Grayson, she began, voice thin but holding. "I acknowledge our actions exceeded authority and caused unnecessary distress. We accept the findings and the new oversight policy, and we thank those who stayed calm enough to teach the rest of us what the law actually means." The crowd didn't cheer. They listened, then clapped once all together, a single beat that said, "Enough." She turned toward me. "Mr. Pierce," she said, "I hope you can accept." I raised a hand. "Acknowledgement is enough." She hesitated, then extended hers. I nodded instead. Minnie Cliff. "Forgiveness doesn't need fingerprints." Drummond leaned close. "You handled that better than any deposition I've seen." "Justice speaks softly," I said. "Then changes rules." He smiled. "There's your headline." The county photographer aimed his camera. "One last shot for the newsletter," he said. We stood in a loose half-circle, Briggs, Drummond, the clerk, and me. Marlene stood a few steps behind, framed but not excluded. The shutter clicked. Silent beat. Wind rustled through the flags. Someone turned the mic off. The board chair folded her notes. Effective immediately, she said, "HOA reform policy, adopted public audits, external seals, quarterly reporting." Drummond whistled low. "That's a lot of commas for change." "Worth every one," I said. He looked toward the crowd. "You realize, Pierce, this story's going to travel." "Let it," I said. "Truth likes daylight." We moved to the tables. Kids ran between folding chairs. Briggs served ribs like a man who'd rather be nowhere else. Marlene stood by the edge talking quietly with Nora the clerk. Every few seconds she dabbed her eyes but stayed. The sun dropped low enough to turn the lot into gold. Drummond raised his cup. "To closure," he said. I lifted mine. "To proof." He laughed. "And patience." The smell of hickory smoke drifted over the asphalt. A guitar strummed near the benches. Laughter rolled like normal life coming back. I glanced toward the boardroom window, now dark inside except for one monitor still on. The newsletter layout blinked at the top of the screen. How we reformed our HOA. Minnie Cliff Paper had learned how to apologize. Briggs joined me by the doorway. "Feels quieter, doesn't it?" "It's supposed to," I said. Calm is a strategy. He nodded. Guess you proved that one. The evening crowd thinned. Someone folded the flags, someone else stacked the chairs. Drummond lingered by the curb watching the sky fade pink over the roofs. Funny thing about resolution, he said. It sounds like an ending, but it's really a record. I held up the certificate. Records live longer than stories. He smiled, and better behaved. We shook hands. The county board secretary turned off the lights inside. For a second, the reflection of the projector glowed faintly on the window. Resolution 17B, filed, recorded, accepted. Then it dimmed. The hum stopped. The crowd gone, the air clean, the gravel lot empty but honest. For the first time in months, there was no noise left to outlive. Morning found the bronze plaque warm before the wood letters catching the first clean light. Boundary restored Lot 17B, acquired 2023. Dew held to the porch rail like tiny receipts that refused to fall. The coffee steamed on the step. Beyond the gate, two kids pedaled past, not staring at signs anymore, just ringing a bell at the curve. That sound ran over the pasture and came back comfortable. I lifted the frame from the wall inside transfer order over the warranty deed glass-tight hinges trued. Under it, the old boundary pin sat in a shallow shadow box, a line you could pick up. They looked like a sentence with punctuation. The mail truck stopped with a polite sigh and a brake hiss. The carrier waved through the fence slats, then slid a manila envelope into the box. I walked out and retrieved it, the gravel-friendly, under my boots. Inside was the new county newsletter. Front page, the headline, How We Reformed Our HOA. Finally, someone fought back. Not a chant, a record. It didn't name me. It didn't need to. Shared at the diner board. Mom kept the page. Briggs pulled up a minute later in the county sedan window down, elbow out. Brought your certified copy, he said, lifting a flat parcel. Thought you'd want fresh ink. Come sit a spell, I said. Coffee's still honest. He stepped onto the porch, took the mug, and studied the plaque. You hung it straight, he said. Level makes sleep easier. We sat. Wind pulled through the live oaks. The rope on the old bell tapped once against iron and remembered school. Down the lane, a neighbor jogged with a dog that finally had nothing to prove. You know what I like best? Briggs asked. The quiet that, and this part where quiet has paperwork. He tapped the framed order. Folks forget peace needs maintenance. Proof is a fence you can open, I said. He smiled, then nodded toward the field. The fence crew did good. That new stretch took the line like truth. At the gate, the motor woke on its own schedule and hummed, slow and certain. Sun caught the fresh powder coat, threw a coin of light into the dust, and made a small star. Mini cliff machines know when a job is finished. Neighbors wandered up the drive with a pie and a sack of peaches. We kept the talk uncomplicated weather calves, the diner's Friday catfish. No one mentioned bylaws. Nobody needed to. Ranch looks right, one of them said. It looks documented, I said. He laughed. Same thing now. Inside, I set the certified copy beside the old binder labeled Incident Log. The log was heavy with receipt stills and transcripts. The weight had moved from fear to proof. I turned to the final tab and wrote one line, Closed, resolved. Merged parcel blue. I slid the binder into its sleeve and felt something unclench in my shoulders I hadn't known was clenched. Briggs stood left his empty mug on the rail, then walked the path to the gate. He paused at the hinge and listened like a mechanic, pride and habit. Greased right, he said. Torque chart on the bench, I said, just in case. You'll get visitors, he said, glancing back. Folks from other streets. They'll want to know the steps. I'll tell them the same thing I said. Document everything. Read the county line. Stay calm. Maybe add one more, he said. Call sooner. I nodded. Fair. We watched the kids return, coasting the downgrade toward the cul-de-sac. One waved, not because he had to, but because the day made sense. Mom's voice floated from the kitchen doorway. You two want another pot? Later, I said. I still need to frame today. She smiled and stepped back inside. The bell tapped once more in the breeze, then held. I walked to the wall and set the plaque on its hooks above the framed order. The metal met the screws like it had been waiting. Sun slid across the floorboards and laid a bright square at my boots. Briggs checked his watch. "I've got a budget meeting," he said, which is a fancy way to say stamps and chairs. "Tell them chairs mattered," I said. He started down the steps, then turned. "You kept your word, Pierce. You fought without shouting." "Only way it lasts," I said. He touched the brim of his hat and drove off gravel, whispering nothing more. Minnie Cliff. Sometimes leaving is the proof you needed. I took the manila envelope, trimmed the headline, and taped the quote beneath the plaque. The words settled into the wood like they had found their yard. I lifted the binder from the table and closed it. The gate motor hummed again just once. The sun flared over the new fence and got on with noon. A hawk slid the sky like a check mark. I turned to the camera on the mantel, blinked at the red light, and let the last sentence do its work. Peace is documented. The bronze plaque caught the morning light, its seal gleaming against the wood. The smell of coffee and ink still lingered on the porch beside the posted order, now framed under glass. I'd learned that real boundaries weren't fences but agreements you could sign, and that silence when written could still speak. The community didn't need winners, just proof that the system could fix itself. Paper and patience had done what shouting never could. Finally, someone fought back. Justice isn't loud, it's steady. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.